Everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ajayeb and I hope this video finds you well. If you are new to this place, please consider subscribing, and to all my returning subscribers, thank you so much for your support and welcome back. So every now and then some crop of fragrances come around. Everybody sort of hype them up because they are good, and in other times sometimes you try some of these fragrances and you just ask yourself what really is special about these fragrances that people are hyping up. I think fragrances are very subjective. There are fragrances I have really loved that a lot of people do not, and vice versa. However, these crop of fragrances I'm coming to show you today are not like a love for me at all. If you have realized that whenever I introduce some fragrances on this channel and some of them take longer time for me to get to them and give them like full detailed review, most of the time it's because those fragrances really are not working for me, and I'm trying to give them more and more chances to be able to understand them so much better before I make any final decision about them and introduce them to my audience. A case of that is going to be La African Drama by Lattafa, which I've introduced on this channel, but I've not been super excited to talk about this because I honestly do not like it. I was so disappointed because I had very high expectation, high hopes about this. When I first saw the bottle, I was so impressed with the whole design, that beautiful lady beating the drum and dancing. It got me super excited, but I wasn't super enthused about picking it in the first place. But something sparked my interest, and I read some reviews or I watched some videos about it, which encouraged me to get a full bottle, and I got it. The very day I sprayed it, I was super disappointed. I decided to give it some time to sit, maybe because it's quite new. As I speak now, I still feel the same way I felt about La African Drama the first day I tried it. So I'll just try and give it like a full detail in this video, and then continue with the rest of the fragrances that I believe are not good enough, at least to my nose, and give you the reasons why. So when you look at the nose structure for La African Drama, it has coconut and bergamot at the top. It has jasmine, orange blossom, ylang ylang in the middle, and then ambroxan, musk, and vanilla at the base. This one doesn't really give me anything delicious, gourmand with the notes it indicates. I don't know what exactly Lattafa was going for, but this one to me is like a total or almost a total fail in my opinion, because I do get the coconut. Yes, I do get the coconut at the top. I get the jasmine, I get the ylang ylang, I get the suntan lotion sort of vibes that this one is giving, but it really doesn't blend so well with me. It gives me something quite smoky. It's like a smoky coconutty suntan lotion with that indolic or very heavy animalic jasmine. The jasmine here, it sort of ruined this fragrance for me, in my opinion. I think it's the jasmine in this one that sort of ruined the fragrance for me, coupled with that very meaty coconut, which gives a suntan lotion sort of vibes. But I think it wasn't really done well or right. It feels quite dated to me. The fragrance itself doesn't feel modern. It feels very dated. It feels like something that would have been produced in the 80s and early 90s. It doesn't come across as a modern scent to me. It feels like a very cheap coconut oil sort of vibes. It smells rough to me. It smells cheap to me. I feel like the blend was not done well. Somehow it didn't really blend well, and I really don't like this fragrance at all. The jasmine here is not right to me. It doesn't smell right to me at all. There's something smoky. It's like a smoky sort of jasmine coupled with that very heavy suntan lotion coconut vibes. The ylang ylang is also quite prominent. You get the florals quite prominent in this one, but it wasn't done right to me or to my nose. So if you ask me, I would personally not recommend this. I'm having a very difficult time saying I like this fragrance, because I wanted to really like this fragrance. Honestly, I really wanted to. I think when I introduced this fragrance, someone said in the comment section that it was supposed to be a Juliet Hasselgan fragrance dupe, but I don't know. It doesn't smell refined to me. It doesn't smell modern to me. It doesn't smell sophisticated to me. I think I get what we're trying to go for, that sort of tropical suntan lotion vibes, but I think they sort of failed at that attempt when it comes to African drama. I don't like that smoky jasmine, you know, quite heavy, quite animalic. The coconut here, the whole blend, I don't really like it, you know. So I think this one is a very big fail to me. It's one of the biggest fails when it comes to the Pride line to me. You know, I expected so much from this, but honestly, it turned out to be one of the worst that I have picked up for 2024. So that is going to be like African drama. I'm going to move on to the next one, which is also part of the Pride collection, and this is going to be Vintage Radio, also by Lattafa. This I spoke about 6 months ago when I checked, you know, my data, my history. I realized I spoke about Vintage Radio about 6 months ago when it was like fresh on the market. And if you watch that video, which I will link in the description, you realize I said I like this fragrance, you know, but I said something and I still stick to what I said. I would have preferred this to be a candle or a bacor or a room spray, because it gives me a very heavy, warm lavender Palo Santo sort of vibes. I don't get much of the plum in this one, you know. It's supposed to be a clone for Paragon by Initio. I have not tried that, so I'll not be able to speak to that. However, this one is a very beautiful, lovely, woody, floral, you know, fragrance. But I just feel like it's too warm, too much of a lavender heavy scent. I get a little of the plum, you know. It's not as fruity, it's not as fresh, it's not as clean to me, you know, as people have been trying to portray it to be. I like the scent, you know, but I feel that it's too strong as a fragrance for me personally to wear. There's something about this, I think maybe the Palo Santo that or the lavender, it sort of ruins this one for me as a fragrance I want to put on myself. But as a room spray, it's one of the best. I use this one as my room spray. When you spray this in the curtains, it's, you know, it gives you that sort of very cozy, warm feel with the lavender and that woody Palo Santo sort of feel. It gives me that sort of, you know, very calming spa-like feel. You know, basically that is what this one do to me. It's like very calming because of that lavender woody Palo Santo sort of feel. It's a very beautiful, soft, silky, very beautiful. But I prefer, or I would have loved for this to be a candle or a bacor or a room spray rather than a fragrance that I would love to put on myself. So for that reason, I would personally not recommend this as a fragrance. But if you want to try something as a room spray, this is an excellent, you know, scent for a room spray. If they had it in a candle, I would honestly buy this one, honestly, because it smells so good. It smells very premium, very premium for a candle or a room spray, but not like a fragrance I would like to have on my body or on my clothes, you know. It's quite irritating somehow when I put it on myself, because I feel like something that was like quite overdone, you know. I'm not too sure what it is, but something in it feels quite overdone to me. It sort of irritates me when I put it on my skin or on my clothes, or when I wear it outside in the elements. It sort of irritates me. But as a room spray, you know, when the temperature is quite down low and you spray this one in your curtains, on your sheet, it is very excellent. Quite, you know, calming, demure, gentle. That is the vibe that this one gives me. So for that reason, I would not recommend this as a spray. But if you want to buy it as a room spray, I would highly recommend Vintage Radio by Lattafa. The next fragrance I'm going to talk about is one that I do not have in my collection. I've tried it a couple of times. I really wanted to like it because I have Ajayeb Dubai Portrait, the mango, you know, fragrance, and I wanted to love the black, you know, bottle, which is the Ajayeb Dubai. And honestly, it's one of the worst fragrances I have come across, you know. It's supposed to be this very gourmand, pineapple, butter, you know, like a gourmand sort of edible scent, but it hasn't come across as that to me at all. There is something about it which, you know, sort of haunts me. You know, I remember the first time I tried that fragrance, and I got, you know, I went to my friend's shop, I tried that coupled with other things. that fragrance haunted me for the longest time, you know. I'll give it to it as being a sort of mysterious, you know, fragrance, but it has this sort of dark twist to it. You know, there's something dark and scary and annoying and not too pleasant about this fragrance, Ajayeb Dubai. I honestly feel, I don't know, I don't feel comfortable with that scent, you know. When I got it on my skin the first time, I immediately wanted to, you know, get it off me. And I remember subsequent tries that I wanted to do. I didn't even want to put it on my skin. I'll just put it on paper and then, you know, sniff it to try to see if it has changed, you know, and I would like it. But anytime I do not like it. I don't get that delicious gourmand, you know, aspect of the fragrance as people, you know, claim they do. I do get a bit of that butterscotch, but there's something dark and a bit dirty and a bit scary. You know, there's something about it that is, I don't want to smell that fragrance, you know. I don't want to smell it just because it puts me in this sort of, you know, mind frame that, you know, I don't feel comfortable around myself. If I should put that fragrance on myself, I don't think I'll feel comfortable. I'll feel weird, you know. I feel like there's someone after me or there's something after me. That is a vibes this one, you know, gives me. It's like a literal mystery sort of fragrance. It's like literally mysterious. You feel like there's something around you. There's something from the other world that is around you. That is the vibes this fragrance gives me. So for that reason, I don't think I will ever own a bottle. I don't think I will ever recommend it. It doesn't really speak to me. I feel like it does something to me that I do not, you know, like. So why would I even put myself through that? So I will never ever recommend Ajayeb Dubai, the black one by Lattafa. It's a no for me. Then the next one I'm going to talk about, I think I featured it in my previous video, and that is going to be Musk is Great by Yara. I think I've spoken enough about this. It's a no for me. I don't like it. The scent profile is totally off. It smells like back spray, you know, insecticide or mosquito spray. That is all I can, you know, smell when I spray Musk is Great. Even from the nozzle, it's very, very, you know, annoying, very rough. It doesn't smell like a fragrance, perfume. It doesn't give me that vibe at all. It is very synthetic. It is very chemically. I will not, you know, recommend this to anyone. It's very affordable too. I think it's about $19 or $20. But I mean, do not waste your money on this fragrance at all. There are so many other alternatives that you can get aside Musk is Great by Yara. The rest of the fragrances I would like to talk about in this video, I think I've featured in a very similar video that I will link in the description. And this includes Andaleed by Lattafa and Sondos. I'm putting Andaleed and Sondos together because they smell so much alike. Those two fragrances, Andaleed and Sondos. Those two fragrances I think have been compared or have been spoken about to be dupes for Miss Dior Cherie, if I'm not mistaken. When it comes to those two fragrances, there is absolutely nothing wrong with those fragrances, honestly. But to me, I feel they are too basic, too generic, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with basic and generic, you know, if that is what you are going for. But if you have a better alternative, why would you go for those fragrances? And because of also how they were hyped up, I think Andaleeb was hyped up, you know, because of the bottle. It looks like Scandal. It doesn't smell anything like Scandal at all to me. It is a sweet, fruity floral fragrance. There is nothing wrong with it. But to me, Andaleeb and Sondos, you know, they smell alike and they really didn't, you know, hold up to the steam I was looking for. I thought they were overly generic. You could get it, you know, from any other place. And the hype around it, or the hype that was built around it, and when I tried them, you know, I kept trying them to see if I would like them. I ended up, you know, going like, it's okay. I don't want to add them to my collection. It's okay. But I mean, there are people who appreciate those kind of fragrances, but personally, they are not for me. So I'll personally not recommend Andaleeb and then Sondos by Lattafa. And in the same breath, I'll add Andaleeb Flora to it. Somehow, I personally feel Andaleeb Flora was very unnecessary, you know, because it didn't do much, you know, because they were trying to, you know, go on the speed of the OG Andaleeb, which had gained popularity and brought up Andaleeb Floral. And even now, I hardly hear anybody talk about that fragrance. You know, it's not bad, but it's very generic floral, you know, fragrance that you can absolutely do away with or do without those fragrances. So that is my sort of beef with Andaleeb, Sundos, and the flankers. I've spoken about Raghba in the past. I do not like that fragrance at all. It's very off-putting. It smells like a heavy smoker's saliva to me. I would never recommend Raghba, the OG version. I prefer the Wood Intense, the Raghba Wood Intense. It is so much better, much more, tolerable or much more pleasant than the OG Raghba, in my opinion. I have also said in the past that I do not like Qaeed Fursan, the white one, the flanker to the pineapple one. I honestly do not like it. That fragrance is also not bad, but the hype that it gained, and when you compare the hype to the scent profile, they don't really match. It reminds me of this African drama. It's like that is like the softer version of this. This is like the senior, much more polarizing, smokier, more jasmine version of Qaeed Fursan by Lattafa to me. If you sort of know how that one smells, it is not too far from this one. They give me very similar vibes. But between those two fragrances, I think I'm going to go for Qaeed Fursan, the white one, over this one, simply because this one, is totally off to me. I would rather, if I'm forced to pick between those two fragrances, I'm going to go with the Qaeed Fursan. So those two fragrances do not really do it for me. They vibe very same or very similar to me, just that this one is like a smokier, much more intense floral version of that fragrance. So that is going to be Qaeed Fursan, and then this one I've spoken about, like African Drama. I've owned Opulent Red by Lattafa in the past, but I have since decluttered that fragrance because it was just too much for me. In as much as I love my strong, obnoxious sort of fragrances, that was like too much for me. It gives me something quite confident, quite bold, but there is this sort of gasoline feel to it, very smoky, indolic jasmine, which is very carnal. It was too much for me, honestly. In as much as I really wanted to love that fragrance when it was out, and people were talking about Opulent Red. I even got the Opulent Musk, which I absolutely love, and I was thinking Opulent Red was going to be a love for me, but as soon as I got it, within a month, I had to just let it go. I couldn't just wait for it to, get even better, because it wasn't really for me. And, sometimes when you get some certain fragrances, from day one that they are not for you. You don't even have to waste your time and wait and see if it's going to turn and change and get better. And that was how Opulent Red was to me. I got it, and after a week or two, I just couldn't stand that fragrance at all. I immediately had to give it to someone. I know how I feel about it. I don't want to ever own it in my collection ever again. I will not recommend it. It's too strong, it's too obnoxious, it's too overconfident. So for that reason, I don't think I would ever recommend Opulent Red to any other person. But I know people who swear by it, and there is nothing wrong with swearing by something that others also hate. So that is going to be Opulent Red by Lattafa. I've also owned Yara Tous in the past, and have since decluttered that fragrance because I felt it was quite an unnecessary launch to me. I don't find anything too appealing about Yara Tous. It is quite basic, and I always say there's nothing wrong with basic, but a scent profile is not something I would reach out for. It's not something I would recommend. I will not personally recommend Yara Tous. I will not personally say I'm going to use it. There was never a day I was going to use Yara Tous and be happy about it, so I had to just let it go. I have never owned a bottle of Nebras to this day. Why? Because I really do not get the hype. Honestly, Nebras has never been a bad fragrance. Don't ever get me wrong. Like, it's a good fragrance. It's like a chocolatey berry, fragrance, vanilla. It gives me Choco Max sort of vibes, but like a better version of Choco Max. I know people like this fragrance. People swear by it. People call it the most sexiest fragrance, the best from Lattafa. It makes a lot of people's top 10 Lattafas and everything. I get it, but I have never owned a bottle simply because I really didn't fall for the hype for Nebras. When I tried it, when it was released, it was quite even hard to come by, but I was able to try it. I was like, okay, it's okay. I had opportunity to buy it before it went out of stock, but I didn't. When it came out, back to stock, I really didn't feel like taking, grabbing a bottle of Nebras. I've personally never found the need to add Nebras to my collection. I think it's a good fragrance, but I feel I don't know, I feel it's a bit, you know, a bit generic in my opinion. I don't think it is quite special as people make it to be. It is an okay scent to me, or in my opinion it's a good one, but I guess we'll categorize it as one of the okay fragrances, you know, and okay fragrances are also great enough, but not for me. So for that reason, I've never owned Nebras. I don't think I'll ever own Nebras, you know. So I say kudos to anyone who enjoys Nebras, but it is not for me. And my latest not so much of a love fragrance is Khair Pistachio by Paris Corner. It is simply not my style. It is simply not my taste. It is not something I would grab or gravitate towards. It is not bad, you know. I keep saying these fragrances are not bad, but for me personally, I will not wear them. I will not feel confident enough to pull them off, or I'll feel, you know, super good in them. So for those reasons, I don't think I would, you know, want to have a bottle just for the sake of having it in my collection. So those are the fragrances in my current, you know, collection that I do not love, and others in the past I've spoken about. I can also add Musama, the original Musama, to it. That fragrance was super strong, super obnoxious, you know. It's a bit masculine leaning, but that is not even the problem with the fragrance. But I just didn't feel so good about Musama, the original one. I think I can even add Lattafa's Qaeed Al-Shabaab to the list. I didn't really like Qaeed Al-Shabaab, but I've seen that there's another Lattafa, another Qaeed flanker, which I would love to try. And I think there are fragrances that I have personally hyped up that people also do not love. So just let me know in the comment section. I hope nobody's offended, and I hope this video found you well. Please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in my next one. Take care. Bye bye.